Hey everybody, how's it going? Today is Thursday night and I got bored, which means I'm gonna do some live coding on stream or something. So what are we up to tonight? Tonight we are doing a blog migration. So there is an old comic blog I worked on many years ago as a collaboration called Pies Are Square. I think the only entry was published in 2010. It was actually published using Movable Type, which is a static blogging software from long ago. Excuse me. And what we're going to do is we're going to be moving it. We're going to be re-implementing it with Hexo, which is my new favorite JavaScript-y static website generator stuff. It's pretty cool, easy to write plugins for. And then we're going to take the result of that, which is static HTML, and we're going to publish it to Firebase Hosting, which is a usually free up to a certain usage as a free tier, static website hosting product from Firebase, which is cool because then we get transport layer security, we get fast delivery from lots of Google's points of presence, all that cool stuff for free. So let's take a look at our detailed to-do list. Here's the order in which I'm going to do the steps to complete that task. First, we're going to get a local Hexo. We're going to get Hexo installed on my computer. We're going to get the blog set up and running. Then we're going to port over the old content, which will be very easy because there's only one comic that we ever published before. So I'm not going to write any like comic-y plugins yet. I'm just going to publish the old content. It's going to look kind of like a blog, but that's okay to get started drawing again. Then I'm going to push it up to GitHub. Then I'm going to create a Firebase project so that I have, like a place to push it to. So we have somewhere to push it to. Then we're going to deploy it to that Firebase project, pies.com.firebaseapp.com. And then finally, I'm going to fix the domain mapping. So I'm going to take the domain mapping, which is currently like running on my own VPS, and I'm going to move it over so that the domain name points to Firebase Hosting. So if you are watching, feel free to drop me a ping in the chat. I always love chatting with people while I code. That's the whole reason I'm on stream. I'll do my best to keep it entertaining and fun. So without further ado, let's dig into the content after we take a sip. Because no stream would be complete without some kind of drink. And it's late in the evening, so I'm having an alcoholic beverage that is quite red instead of my usual brown bitter bean juice. Anyway, so I actually jumped the gun. I actually already went ahead and created a GitHub repo. So I did that first. I forgot I did that before I started the stream. And I checked it out here. So you can see there's a local Git file there. Exciting and stuff. Okay. So with that part done, the next thing we want to do is get Hexo running. So Hexo, let's go to Hexo's website. It took us to the GitHub page, which has the installation. I think I already have the Hexo CLI installed. Which Hexo? Cool. So I already have Hexo installed. So now what I want to do is do a Hexo init blog, which is going to go ahead and download some stuff, and it has a default theme that I'm not a huge fan of. It's just not my style. I'm going to go fetch a different theme for us to use for the rest of this project. Oh, my NPM can be updated. I will do that after the stream. So let's make sure it's working. So we want to do Hexo server, just like it says right here. And it should be fired up on my localhost. And hey, there's a default Hexo with a default hello world post. For some reason, it always defaults to not my system language, so I should go in and fix that. Okay, doke. So I'm going to go fire up an IDE project for this so that I can edit with ease. I'm going to use IntelliJ because I love IntelliJ. Let's create a new project. We'll do static web, and we're going to point it right at my local directory for it, which already exists, so it should poof into existence. An IDE thingy for us. It'll take a moment to index no files at all. There we go. So there's our blog. And we want to look at the config, and we're just going to set some config parameters first. Author, myself and my partner in crime. This is going to be on a TLS site because transport layer security is important. There's a root, permalink. We will, what did we do before? I'll try and emulate what used to be here. So this one used to do year, month, it's broken, but I can still figure out how it used to be set up. Year, month, and then, oh, IntelliJ just hit a little hot for me anyway, but I do not have day. So I have year / month / title. Maybe I'll do day. I think our plan is actually to do daily comics after this. Public is where the public data is going to end up. Source is where the markdown files get read from. I'll leave those to default. Is there a place where the language is set? Because I don't know what language it defaulted to, but it is not my language. There's like a language folder. But, oh, here we go. See if that works. So let's go ahead and, do I still have it running? Yeah, I do. Change the configuration. Sometimes this means you need to restart. So we'll go ahead and give it a kick. We'll see if it switched over to, apparently that is not what it wanted to see, ENUS. So let's give it a kick again. Still in whatever language it thinks it's in. What language does it think it's in? It thinks it's in, I assume I can find this up here in the header somewhere. What language? Locale is EN. But these do not look like English. Although I like the date formats, ISO, year, month, day. That's pretty cool. Anyway, let's go see what's up with the locale stuff. That'll be somewhere in source, or where was it? The lang is in :lang, which is, is lang defined in here? Language is defined up there. So let's go find out why it thinks it's in some of the languages. This is just a, what's default? Default looks like English, at least, so it's specific to the theme though. So I do not care as much about that. It is neat that it supports multiple languages, but I don't really need that because so all my tinkering with language might be moot. Let's go find a hexo theme. I'm gonna web search for hexo themes, and there's a wonderful library of themes up here. I always start with the same one, which is Clean Blog, which is from like Startup Bootstrap, something is like the place where it started. BlackRock Digital, GitHub.io, Startup Bootstrap, Clean Blog. This is the original source of it. And I love this theme because the licensing is favorable. Like it's easy to work with. It's an easy license to work with. And so there's a bunch of forks out there for different blogging engines. And it's clean, so it's a good place to start. And it's actually pretty hackable. It doesn't have anything too zany in terms of its implementation. Let's take a look at the Hexo version of it, because I have not used it on Hexo. I've only done it on Jekyll before, but STYL files. The layout is EJS, but it's pretty simple. Like it has some partials and some templates, but not like, some of these have like many layers of nesting and a whole bunch of those. And it has its own language settings. Okay, but this looks pretty good. So we're gonna go grab this template. I actually don't want all the Git history, so I'm just gonna download the zip. So, let's copy it here. What is this? Landscape, the name of the theme? Landscape is indeed the name of the theme. So we have new directories. It just have another, oh no, that's good. Okay, so languages, layout, source. Okay, it looks reasonable. What did I do here? I have some trailing slash. Okay, so let's remove the zip file and then let's give it a reasonable directory name. Actually, I'm just going to rename it to clean. I'm going to be referring to it a lot. So, can you have landscape specific stuff, or is this just a recommended default config? It looks like theme specific configuration. Wait, does that mean that the other one? I suspect that does landscape have its own config? It does. This may be the answer to the mystery of why it thinks I want to use a different language. I do not know. Doesn't seem to say. Oh, it has an Atom feed. I wonder if the clean blog one does. I might want to pull that over if it does not. So, what do we have here? We have a big background image. I like how it hot links by default. We have a title. The URL we got it from. All looks pretty reasonable. I'm not going to be using discuss or Facebook comments, so I might be ripping that stuff out. And all these little linkies. Seems reasonable. So let's go ahead and open that up. And let's change some of these configs. We don't actually want some of these. We do not want to use all these things. Oh, that's landscape. Let's close all those. Boop, back to clean. Let's go ahead and tweak some of these config files. I'll leave some of these the way they are. Actually, yeah, we'll leave these the way they are. Let's get rid of the GitHub. I don't think I want that. This one. What is this image? I'm probably just going to copy this image down rather than hot link it off their website. So I'm just going to download that. Save it to my desktop. It's home-bg. We'll just do, we'll make a directory in this. I just don't like having that hot link out there because people can mess with that content and then I would be sad. Not even for a minute. So let's create a new images folder in the, actually let's rename img is what it was using. Shorter URLs are nice. I think everyone knows what img means. So let's go ahead and rename that. Boop. And then we're going to copy that in. So where's my bash? Still not used to my snazzy keyboard with the function key on it. Okay, so that's pointing to that background image, default post title, a comic, an unnamed comic. Untitled comic. We're not going to be using any of those. And we're going to get rid of these. We'll probably have a Twitter or something at some point. Just so, because, you know, that's how you publish content now. But it doesn't have anything about Atom, which means there's probably no, oh, there's an IMG right there. Source/IMG. So that's actually, whoop, I'll move that over there. Oh, it's already in there. I wonder why they hot link it. Whatever. So let's go ahead and delete that. And what's going to happen is these directories get merged with the rest of my source directories during rendering. That's how layout stuff works. Okay, so let's fire this up and see. Oh, I actually need to change my theme to clean. So that was in the main YAML. So let's go to the main config YAML, and then where do I set that theme? Here we go, themes. Let's go ahead and see if it changes appearance to my thing I want. Hey, it's a clean blog. That's pretty cool. Click there. We get the content we had before. Kaiser Square. Neat configurable title. So that one lives under this one. I wonder why it just doesn't take the main title. Can I just do :title? Isn't that in this config? That's cool. Hours, minutes, seconds. You can do the date stuff separately. So I think we can just call this :title. See what that does. So I don't even know if it picks it up. It just literally :title. Okay. There we go. We have tags. Can I get tags? Categories. Can I get categories? I wonder why I didn't create those pages. It doesn't have a tags or category list. Does it? It has an archive. So let's get rid of tags and categories since they don't seem to do anything. Like they're paths, they just don't go anywhere. Home and archives, which are basically the same right now. Okay, reasonable enough. We can go ahead and add content to it later. So we want to do a post. So when is this one? This one is, so it assumes it's published today. So we're going to create a new file, and it's going to be whatever. I'm going to grab something from the old title. I'm going to do some text substitutions. So the title is going to be, should I use underscores or dashes? What is it using there? It's using dashes. And then we want these all to be lowercase, which I think that's reasonable. What was it in the original blog? No reason to invent something new. So go back to the original blog, Mercy the Flying Spaghetti Monster.html. Hey, that's what I ended up with. I could have just copied it from there. But that's okay. And this is a markdown file. Sure, add that ticket. So we need the front matter, boop, which has some basic info on it, like the title. We need description, which is the full comic description. And then we want some hover text, which doesn't do anything yet. How do I do multi? I actually don't know if I can put a dash in there. We'll just call it hover text. Hover text. You know, like on XKCD when you hover over the comic and it says something. So we're going to set that. These are the original jokes. And then we want to do the image with markdown. And these are going to live in, so source, we're going to create a new folder called img. Which I guess is going to get smashed into this, where is it? This img. So we should probably name it something else so we don't get a conflict. I don't know what'll happen if it tries to smash those together. That's okay. I'll just call it img here. We'll deal with it if it has a conflict. So this is going to be /img / we need the picture, which is right here, and drag it into there. Yep, I can add that now. It's a ping. We're going to grab the name. And then for the hover text, I don't know how I'm going to implement that. I might have to change the template to add that. But the alt text should probably be the comic description. You know, if you're using a screen reader or something. So let's go ahead. Oh yeah, I need to add a date also. 2010, November 21st. Yeah, it's been a while. So let's see if we go back here and I reload the page and hey, there it is. Here's this thing. Does it know the date? It does indeed. There's the comic. And it doesn't do hover yet. So I should probably change this page so it only displays the most recent, and so that if there's this image, it should include the image there. Or I can add the image to the front matter. I could just make these posts all front matter and build it all in the template, which might actually be more appropriate. I think I'm going to do that. So I could actually even build it from those two, but I don't think I'll do that. I think I will just put a local path to an image here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to build this on the, we're going to build a new layout for this called comic. So what is this one's layout? Hello World is using, it doesn't even say it. So it's going to default to the default layout, which, does it even have any layouts? I guess it's going to use post, which is must be specified here in this config file what the default layout is. Nope. How does it know the default layout to use? Maybe it's here. Maybe it's in the software. So let's take a look at the different front matter. So I can do YAML front matter, which works pretty well. You can do tags and categories. I want to know all the front matter I can do. I know I can specify any aspect of the post. Oops, I didn't need to do that. Which is in locals. No, that's for making, okay. So where is it going to be? Hexo, specify layout, templates, scaffolds. So by just, so index is the backup. Index is the home page. For post, it defaults to post. And I know you can specify them somewhere. Whatever, so let's go ahead and, I'm assuming it's using post, because that makes sense. I'm going to try and do a layout comic. So let's go ahead and see what happens if we do that. So I'm going to make a new one, a new post layout. Not very dry, I know, copy and paste. And it's doing article full, item page. So it's pulling in partial article full. And here is the thing it's pulling in. So that looks fine. That's all the content that's going to get dumped in. It's pulling in some JavaScript automatically. I'll probably rip that out. I'm going to rip out most of the external dependencies. I'm just going to pull in this whole source and item colon page. So does this use item as a variable? Oh, got it. Okay, I see what it's doing. So it's taking page and post and like putting them into a local variable so that it can use the same code for both. So this template attempts to be pretty dry. I'm not always nearly as dry. So I'm going to make a new var item equals page because I'm crazy like that. Get rid of this. And I'm going to put somewhere in here that I can see real easy. Where is it definitely going to show up? Item content. Okay, so now I have a new template. Let's make sure that it loads. So nothing's changed because I haven't actually changed anything upstream. So if I go to my actual post, this should switch it over to the comic layout. There we go. See, comic is there. Perfect. So let me go ahead and delete this hello world post. And I'm going to actually add the date prefix to this one. So this might actually make me have to restart the server. Okay, so let's see what that does. Can I get rid of the date? Boop. No, now it thinks this is written today. So it does not, apparently it doesn't care. Ooh, that's ugly. So it doesn't parse it out. So we're gonna, now it's really angry. Oh, because I changed the date field. Yeah, I don't want the date to be in there twice. So let's go ahead and try restarting the server, see if that clears anything. Because I could have sworn that it parses date prefixes out. So let's do basic usage writing. So I thought I parsed it out of the file name. But it doesn't seem to. Maybe this is a parameter in config. File name case 0. I wonder what 0 means. Whatever, so I'm going to switch this back to the original name, even though then they won't sort and the directories right, because that's good enough. So we'll just use the actual title, and we're going to assume those are unique. Then we'll go back to here. We will check to see this is still behaving. We have the mercy of the flying spaghetti monster. We're going to go back to this EJS file, and if, so we want to add some template code. If, what is this called? We call that item.comicimage. If item.comicimage, and what does it do? And it has length. Sure. If it has a field and it's defined, we're going to do some stuff. And I got to put that in parens, or it gets grumpy. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add that comic to it. And no matter what, we're going to put the content in. This is going to be, so I wonder what the class of that image is right now. So, oh, it's not even in there. Because I want to make sure that I kind of get all the class and stuff that comes with that. So let's just put the markdown back in. Reload that. Take a look at this HTML, and we're just going to copy it out. So it sticks it in, so it's in the main content field. So if I stick it before that, it's going to land in this row attribute. But other than that, there's no special stuff in here. It's just in a paragraph. But that's it. So let's just throw that image in there and see what happens. Oh, here's the content thing too. So we're getting all the column stuff, the columns and stuff. Alt equals, so we want to pull in the alt text, which is escaped. The little dash escapes it, I believe. This is going to be item dot description. And then it has a title. Item dot, what did we call it? Hover text. And we'll delete that out. And, oh, the source. Well, we need the source, which is the item.comicimage. So let's see what that looks like. Whoop, hey, you're there now. So, there's our comic. And if I hover, do I get anything? I'm actually looking at the right entry. No alt. So let's try kicking the server. See if that fixes it. No alt. No title. That's suspicious. Oh, that's because I'm not looking at this. I'm looking at the entry here. And it's gone. Okay, so layout is comic, which will go to comic.ejs, which will load this, the word comic, but it's not evaluating this. Oh, tags. That's my problem. Why didn't somebody watching the stream tell me I made that mistake? There we go. So we can get rid of this. We have our comic. We have hover text. Yay, hover text. Everything else looks fine down here. Does it actually scale down for mobile devices? Hey, it looks like it'll probably work fine. Simple enough. So let's add this to the main page. So we want the archive length to be 1 entry, which you can probably just do in the configuration. And we don't want the comment stuff at all. Oh, this is the wrong config file. We want the main config file. And we want to change the number of, at least it knows what language it is this time. So we want 1 per page because it's a comic and we're crazy. So if we go back to the main page, we want just the most recent comment. So that's going to be a tweak to the index. So if we go to index, it says that I am loading a paginated archive, pagination 2. I don't really know what that does. And it's probably something about the pagination settings, like the little things it displays down at the bottom. So let's go ahead and what we want to do is we want to make sure the partial archive well, I'm going to make a new EJS file. I'm going to make one called comic archive. Just in case we want to mix real posts in there someday. Also, so that it's clear which of the what is the stuff that I hacked the bejesus out of. So we go to index. We want to change that to partial comic archive. And here we know what pagination equals 2. If pagination equals 2, do these things. If page total count, okay, else, do all this stuff. Okay. So we have a partial article, post index is true. So it's passing a flag to that. And I bet if we just remove this flag, it'll start displaying that image. Nope, didn't quite do it. So is this something it's doing? Let's dump some stuff in there. No hi. Oh, it might not be like anywhere I can actually see. Nope. So apparently I'm not in that critical path. Let's see what this does. Did it stick my hello anywhere in the source? Nope. So maybe I'm not going, okay, so comic archive might be going down the wrong direction because what I did is I went to index and it's loading partial comic archive. And it's passing index in. Let's try restarting it and see if, because I still don't actually have a good feeling for what Hexo is able to do dynamically on its little server thing. No, my ID is not smart enough. So it's going to underscore partial, underscore comic archive. If I reload that, it's still there, which is kind of weird. So maybe it's not loading this page at all. Doesn't seem to be. Is it loading archive? Still there. Is it grumpy here? Nope. What are you loading when I load your index? Is there something in the configuration that'll tell me? So let's try tracing the configuration down. So, oh, I'm in the wrong, well, I feel dumb now. I'm in landscape. That was silly of me. Let's delete that. Go away, landscape. I don't need you anymore at all. I went to the wrong place. No wonder nothing's been working. Because that is usually what's going on when I'm like, I'm going crazy. No, it's because I've been editing the wrong file for several minutes. So it's getting partial article index. Let's just change this to comic. No, it doesn't seem to like that very much. Oh, that's because that's not a partial. That is just a Oh, I see the issue with doing it the way I did it. I can't include it in more than one place. So we're going to make a new partial. Call it comic. We're going to remove this. We're going to make this layout very similar to, what was it? It was post. So we had item is page, and then we have this comic. Okay, so there is a reason to have that kind of nested. Oh, that's a little crazy right there. Partial comic, and then this one contains. What happens when I go into the specific one? That's pretty cool. I don't know what oh, it's a little grumpy because that partial didn't exist for a while. It's pretty grumpy right now. What have I done terrible to it? Let's undo some of those things. So there's a comic thing back here, which is that. So if I run it again, back at Pizer Square, there's nothing in my index at all because this index still refers back to comic. And this was, what was here? Archive index, which doesn't really refer to a specific, oh, it refers to this archive index here. Got it. So that's going to put that there. So it's pulling in a partial there. Got it. So what do I want to do? So I want to go back to index, and I want this partial to be not the entire page here, because our article index, let's do a comic index. So we're going to go here to article index, and we're going to recreate some of our stuff. We have comic index, which is, we have the subtitle, we have the date. I think it's going to include an excerpt if it has one. Doesn't seem to. I have that. It's a pretty boring thing, isn't it? For post each, do that. This comic index thing is not what I want at all. So let's modify it. So we have our main comic thing. Let's go ahead and grab this part where we display this. Let's grab this whole element. And this is pulling from item.date. I don't think I want my share this toolbar or any of that stuff because I'm probably going to rip all that out. Hey, it's a little bit big. Probably have too many things of these nested. It's looking a little better. And then I should probably stuff this in somewhere else. So this div has underneath the date and author. Does it know how to constrain this? It does not. Whereas on this page, it knows how to constrain it. So what is different about this preview? So there's this, and there's a post preview div, and then there's a wrapper around that. But why is this image allowed to go out of control here? Whereas on this one, it's wrapped in this div. But that's it. So this div is a large column 8, offset 2, MD10, MD offset 1. Whereas this one is, it's in the meta div, which is probably not right. I probably want to pull it out of that div and put it just above this horizontal rule. And this is offset 2, 10, offset 1. Okay. So I suspect that I'm going to remove the main content. And I'm going to stick it just outside of here and see what this does. Still a little bit wacky. So it still does not scale down. So what is different on the entry? So post preview, now it's outside of the entire post preview div. No, it's still in post preview div. Where does this end div go to? No, it is outside the post preview. So sticking it into the post preview did not fix it. Whereas on the post itself, it is inside a container row. And what causes it to scale? Is there some media query on it or something that causes it to scale with the box? Max width 100 by important. So this is the thing that does it. So if I go back to the main page, that is in .row article container. Whereas here, we have row. We lose that max width. Let's go back and see what it's doing in here. It's in article, container, row, image. So now we get to go into the styles and fix that stuff. Here we go, responsive images. Article, container, row, image. Whereas in our index, which is probably in base, we have the main media queries. So I do not know what CSS files are getting included on. So this is, okay, this is being built into all of them. Well, when does the article style sheet get loaded in? Here it is. Style is article, base, and then article. So, where do we have archive? That's all for source code, it looks like. Whereas this one on the main page, boop, is in, where do you live? I'm surprised responsive images are kind of broken on the main index. It's kind of surprising. Post preview, container, row, post preview. I'm just going to take this block, put it out here. I think that'll fix those. Yeah, it fixes it. Okay, well, that was easy. Now it's responsive. Okay, I got to put some credit up there for that little hack I did. So any images that are in a row, .container.row will do it. Because there's no, like the archive didn't have anything else beyond that. So I think I also want to wrap this comic and to go to the permalink page. Or I don't know. This takes you to the permalink. That's probably fine. Okay. Do I have a RSS feed? I do not. I don't know if people really use RSS feeds anymore. I'll get back to that later if I need to. I think this is good enough. Okay. So we have built our blog thing. That took us 45 minutes, a little longer than I expected. So we ported over the old content. We got a local Hexo blog running. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a Firebase project. console.firebase.google.com. Going to add a project. We're going to create it. We're going to do the dance while it does its initial creation. It usually goes a little faster. there we go. We have that. We're going to go to this, hexo generate, to generate all the static files we're going to be using. And then I'm going to go into super secret hacker mode real quick to make sure I'm hooked up to the right Google project to do a deployment from the command line. It's totally set up correctly. So I'm going to come back. Boop. I'm going to Control-C out of this so I can show it all to you. So I'm going to do Firebase init, and it'll tell me my tools are out of date. I am only deploying hosting. There's a bunch of other Firebase features I could be using, but I'm just using hosting today. And then I picked the project I want to attach it to. It figured out my public directory, I think. Let's double check that that is correct. So we have, oh, we're doing it in the blog directory. That's fine. And there's a public folder, which is where our actual stuff lives. So if we go back to the other tab, public is correct. Is this a single page app? No, it is a static HTML blog. We do not want to do a single page app. We do not want to overwrite an index.html. We probably want to do some kind of templating for our 404. That's correct, because right now that's just a default 404. And to put it in the public directory, which is generated, so it's going to get removed when we do a generation. So let's go ahead and go back and fix that. Because let me show you what it did. Firebase generated this page for us. Which is just good. The next time we do a Firebase, like if we ever do a hexo clean or we deploy from another system, this file is going to get deleted because this whole directory is generated. So we're going to create a new file, 404.html, which is what this is going to refer to. I'm going to put some content into it. Oh no, there is no comic here. TODO, make a real 404 page. Let's wrap that in some HTML elements. Okay, so let's go ahead and do another hexo generate. And then Firebase deploy. So this is going to deploy it to, we're just going to set it to the regular domain for now. Oh, we can see it going right away. Oh, I'm of course very satisfied. I'll fill out that survey later. We see me deploying it, and I think it's already up. Hey, there it is. It's up. It's deployed, and it's working, and it's on the internet. You can go there right now if you are watching but not chatting with me for some reason. You can go look at the blog and go try and pwn it or whatever you want to do. Let's see if there's anything weird in here, like weird source files that got included. Featherlight, which is off of these are off of CDNs. We should probably, I probably want to go back in and fix those so I'm not sourcing random files from some other domain. Everything else here looks fine though. I think this will work for now, just to unblock myself so my partner and I can get drawing and get our comic back on Rails. Okay, so we created a Firebase project and we deployed it to there. Now we want to go and map the custom domain. This is a little bit more involved, and it involves some DNS stuff that is specific to whoever your DNS provider is. I'm a big fan of DreamHost because they are awesome citizens of the open source space. So I use them for DNS. I used to use them for VPS, not so much anymore. But I still want to make sure that I find an excuse to give them money. So I use them as a registrar. They also have like multi-factor auth setup. They have a bunch of cool features. They're great to work with. So let's go ahead and we're going to go to hosting. We're going to connect a domain. We're going to go and add that, pizersquare.com. And now we have a TXT record that we want to add. So I am going to go into super duper secret hacker mode and add that to my DNS provider because this will be different depending on your DNS provider. You just want to add a TXT record. But I'll show you the TXT record once it's serving out. So I'm going to go to my DNS provider. So we're going to go here. I'm going to go click on some stuff that does sets up DNS. I'm going to add a txt record. This is Google site verification. I want to add a txt record. Boop, there we go. I'm going to put a note in there so I can find it later. It doesn't actually go in. And now let's see if so now we wait for the text record to propagate. So if I go back here, boop, to live view, we can see I'm running dig space txt pi_square.com, and that should eventually show me this verification record that I added to the DNS settings. And this can take a few minutes to propagate across DNS. DNS is like the great afterthought of the internet. And as a result, it's slow, insecure, it's got lots of problems. Sometimes just hitting the verify button, like it has a different, like everyone has a different path to DNS. Sometimes it can actually detect it before I can detect it on my laptop at home. And it says it cannot verify yet, so we're going to keep waiting. This can take a few minutes. So I'm going to take a break. I will be back in about 5 minutes. I'll leave my stream up and I will put my hiding view on. And I'll edit this out when I publish this to YouTube later. Oh my gosh, somebody chatted while I was gone. Why, hello there. We're doing the exciting thing where we wait for DNS records to propagate. So let's do dig to see if it's there. Still not there. I'm going to go back into super duper secret hacker hiding mode and see if I can see any other reason why that might not be there. Let's reload this page. Go look at DNS settings. Looks like there's other verification stuff that's in here from before. Let's come on back. See if Google can see it yet. Nope, I can't see it yet either. So this is the fun part of the game where we wait for DNS records to propagate across the internet. And then once the verification is up, then we can add a couple A records to our domain, and then it will suddenly start being served, and it'll like mint an TLS certificate with Let's Encrypt and all that cool stuff. So in the meantime, is there anything else I want to do while I wait for this to happen? I guess I can set up a git ignore file and stuff like that. Well, not terribly interesting. It's something I should probably do before I deploy it. I could build a 404 page. Let's do that. So while we wait for this to propagate, we're going to spend some time building out a 404 page, which is going to have some of this stuff in it because we want to have the header and the footer. So it's going to be specific to this layout. So I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it 4.4.ejs or error. Let's call it error. Let's make an error page. And it's going to have a lot in common with the index. So we'll go ahead and do that. And except instead of having content here, it's going to tell us that something went wrong. So this is the big H1 in the top of it. And we'll pull this from the item. Item.error details. And now we want to actually put in here, not pagination stuff. item.error source description. And then here we want to put item.error details. So, which means we can do in our source, we can do we have the 404.html. We can do front matter, which is 3 dashes. I don't actually remember. Yeah, 3 dashes. And we can specify the entire 404 page in front matter with this. 404. What do we call it? Error description? Yeah, error description. Error description. And then we want to put some other meta for the error details. So let's go stick that in the front matter too. There may have been a comic here once upon a time. Or maybe there was never a comic here. Either way, it's not here now. That's all we know. Go look at the latest comic instead. Let's just do that. Boop. Okay, so let's go ahead and generate that. So, Hexo server. Let's open a new tab. See that? And then if we type in some gibberish, we should see our 404 page. And oh, it doesn't actually load the 404. So Firebase knows how to load the 404 page. Hexo does not. So is there a way for me to tell the Hexo server to load the 404? It got closed, but not really know why. Whatever. Let's go deploy it to Fire. So that means when I do a generate, this is going to turn into. Actually, I can name this to a Markdown file. That does not. There's no HTML in it, so I might as well call it a Markdown file. So let's go ahead and take a look. See, did that actually make it start showing up? Nope. So let's go ahead and deploy it. So first we're going to generate, and we're going to make sure that generated the hstat into the public folder. So go to public, we have it 404. That looks like our Hexo stuff. Then we're going to go and deploy it to Firebase Hosting. Should we come back here? We'll see it deploy. We'll see that go up there. There's our site, and if we type in gibberish, we get our 404, and it says Untitled Comic. That's not really what I wanted it to say. So if I go here, I get my comic. And if I go to, I get Untitled Comic, which is a little weird. That's a little bit weird right there. So the 404 page is, oh, because it's defaulting to a different layout. I have to tell it I want a error. It's kind of a bummer the local server won't let me model this. Ooh, it got grumpy. Does not like this. Item is not defined. So this is going to be a page. It's always going to be a page. So I can just get rid of that. So, okay, so Hexo, try again. Because there's pages and posts. And what a lot of this template does, it takes it, and pages and posts have the same basic type. I don't know if they're the same type, but they have all the same fields. So when it's using the same rendering code for both, it just kind of squishes them down into item. The path that this page renders when it does the generation doesn't do that. So it it got grumpy because it was like, I don't know what this item thing is because I had not created that local variable. Okay, anyway, let's test our 404 page. Hey, there we go. There's our actual 404 page. And it works. Yay! I like it when things actually work. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if the DNS record is done. Dig, txt. No, still not there. This is taking a lot longer than it usually does. So hopefully that text record is still the same. It ends in S_E. So I'm going to go back into hacker mode and verify that that is all still the same. I'm going to clear out some other verification records to see if giving it a kick fixes anything. But other than that, I can't change a lot of the stuff. So maybe I need to change the hosting. Because this is currently pointing to a bunch of like VPS stuff. So I need to... I should probably flip the hosting over to DNS only. And this might take a few minutes to propagate again, so I might go take another break. And that record's still there. Okay, so still... Let's give it a hard kick. There's a hard kick button. It still hasn't propagated yet. So... we will go back to live view. And what I'm doing is I'm just every once in a while I'm giving it another kick to see if this text record that Firebase wants me to show has shown up. Okay, well in the meantime, I can set up a .getignore. So we want to make a new file, .getignore. Oh, it already exists. Hexo created one for me. That looks like a reasonable .getignore. I also want to remove IDE artifacts. What else do we want to get rid of? That's probably sufficient. The other thing is I created it all in this blog directory. I don't really like that. Because all that's in there is blog and the IDE artifacts. So I'm going to go ahead and, much to the anger of my IDE, which is probably going to get pretty angry about this, let's close all these. Then I'm going to move all these to... Oh yeah, that didn't cause anything too bad. There we go. Okay, so it was in blog for no reason at all. Now it's pulled out of there. Does it still generate properly? Yeah, it still generates. And that's still pointing to the right place. Where's my Firebase config? So that's still pointing to the right path because it still generates in public. Okay, so that's all fine. Okay, so I fixed all that. Is there anything in here I don't want to include? I don't think so. I think this is all stuff I want to include. So we're going to do the initial commit. Initial commit, pulled in old content, or rather old content. We have the clean blog template prepared for comics. And hexo init and Firebase init. It's a big initial commit. We're going to go ahead and push that up and beam it up to the internet. So we have a backup if my laptop were to catch on fire right now. It's going up to my GitHub. So in that time, Has it up? No, it still hasn't updated. This is frustratingly slow tonight. Not at all compatible with coding on stream. Let's see if this is magically aware of its update. Nope, still not there. Yeah, normally this only takes a minute or two. Anyway, let's see if I turned off the old hosting. So let's see what this, but it's still pointing back at that. Oh no, there it goes. Okay, so it came down according to DreamHost now. That's a good sign. So I'm going to go back into super duper secret hacker mode, and I'm going to hide and give this stuff another peek to see what's going on my DreamHost control panel. So let's take a look at DNS settings. My text record is still there. There's a whole bunch of other stuff there that I wouldn't well, okay, so it looks like it's cleaned itself up sufficiently. More. Let's try adding some records to some subdomain to see if that shakes it enough to have it start showing up. Back to live view. See if I flush my local DNS cache if that fixes it. Hey, there's my verification record for www. That's cool. So it was my local cache was all, oh, but for some reason the local one does not work. So that one works, but the www does work. So I'm going to get that mapped since that's more exciting. Hopefully it gives me the same record to put in. It did? Yeah, it's the same. But I still can't see, at least from oh, it wants me to put it. It doesn't want me to prove that I own www.hydrosquare.com. It wants me to prove that I own is www special? No, it wants me to prove my ownership of the whole domain. So I have, what I do is I got the www to propagate, just not the root of the domain. So it's more waiting. So go ahead and get this to the verification step. And we will keep on waiting. So in the meantime, what else can I do while I wait? So what are some things I wanted to fix? So we have some dependencies on external JavaScript, which is not really something I do. Okay, so I'm going to delete the layout we're not using. I'm just going to delete it. Poof. We don't want it anyway. We're going to grab, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the layout. And I think in the footers where I pull in these things. Here we go. Oh, so this is actually the visual footer. I want the after footer. Here we go. So this is discuss comments, which I'm not going to use in the site. So it's going to remove it. Featherlight, I'm going to go get a local copy of it. See, these aren't even, so what you can do is you can actually put a checksum so that somebody can't insert random content there. So this is not actually even done with proper processes. So if you are doing this kind of thing, how do you do the checksum? There's some way to stick a checksum in that script. Subsource. So what you can do is you can actually take like a hash, and we can set up. You can also put this integrity checking into your source, which is cool, and you should be doing if you're pulling in random website JavaScript. But another way to guarantee that these files won't change out from under you is to just download them and include them yourself. So let's go take a look at these and see if they look like there'll be problems because some of them include external JavaScript, but they just look like minified JavaScript files. So we can probably just curl them down. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go into source, img, new. So we're still in the layout. Oh no, here we are in the layout. No, so I'm in the theme. I want to be in the theme, but not in the layout folder. And I'm going to create a new directory for my JavaScript files. And then I'm going to navigate to that. This is in themes, clean, source. And we're just going to download these files. Connection refused. It didn't like that, did it? Oh. It was trying to download. The reason I got an error there is because I didn't need that. It downloaded it, and then it tried to curl that path, which it didn't really know how to curl. So which one did I pull down? I pulled down Bootstrap min. Let's pull down jQuery. I don't know why it needs jQuery. Let's pull down that. And this is coming off Cloudflare CDN. Featherlight. Okay, so we have a few files now. Let's make sure there's nothing bonkers in these. Because I think I downloaded one over HTTP, which is the default for curl. That looks like jQuery. Yes, I've looked at the jQuery minified source before. Oh, and that looks like this has a copy of jQuery in it also. Okay, I have 2 copies of jQuery in my theme. Whatever, I won't question. I'm sure they're namespaced off. So now what I can do is I can go back into that template file and I can remove that dependence on. I can go into after footer. And for this, what I want is I don't have the version of Featherlight. I'm actually going to add it to the file name. Because I have no way of knowing. I should be using a proper dependency management system for this, but I'm not. Bootstrap is 3.3.6. And this is in case like there's some weird vulnerability found. I'll have some way of fixing it. What I should do is I should go back and add some kind of proper dependency management to this later. But that is a later task. I think that takes longer to fix than I want to spend for those DNS records to propagate. And I also changed the file names of everything but jQuery. So Featherlight has the version in it, Featherlight-1.3.5, and Bootstrap is 3.3.6. Great. Okay, so let's see if that blew everything up. Start the local server. Looks like it still works. Let's go check our inspector thingamajig. And does it have any... if I reload and I see a bunch of 404s here, I'll know something went wrong. Everything looks good. I can even see those JavaScript files. I can force a full reload. We can see all that stuff. So where did that come from? Font awesome.min. So there's still some stuff coming in from other places. Max CDN is getting some of that. Max CDN Bootstrap is getting the Bootstrap CSS. So I could go, yeah, I mean, the proper dependency management would have fixed this also. So I still have this Featherlight is still coming in from external. At least that jQuery is coming in from localhost. Okay, so it's partially fixed. But there's some other file that's referring to an external domain. So maybe it's in, is there a header somewhere? This looks like, oh, here's some more stuff. So I'm getting some fonts down from the Google Font API. I'm getting Font Awesome CSS files. And then there's the Bootstrap CSS file. There's my CSS. Here's Featherlight CSS coming in. We have a partial for Google Analytics, which also pulls in an external domain, but that's not configured right now. So there's still a little bit more to fix. I'll get to that stuff later. Let's go ahead and deploy it and see if it still works. If I done any, like if I butchered the cross-origin stuff somehow. So I had that in my first tab. No, this one's still doing the dig. So that one sees the www stuff. Nope, not yet. This might be a tomorrow kind of thing. So we'll generate the files. Not Nexo, Hexo. Which is broken. Oh, is that like path? Oh, it's because it's going that directory doesn't exist anymore. Excuse me. Yeah, remember when I renamed that blog directory and moved all the files back to the parent path? That terminal was still sitting in that broken directory handle. Which is why Hexo was like, I don't even know where I am. How do you expect me to generate stuff? So it'll be a slightly anticlimactic stream, because if this doesn't work, I guess I'll take another 10 or 15 minute break and I'll come back to see if the text record has propagated. If not, like I might have to pick this up tomorrow. So let's go ahead and look at this to see if I've broken everything. It does not look that broken. Do I have any 404s? Anything weird in the console? Looks fine. 258 millisecond download. I think we can speed that up with some tweaking. But that's a later problem also. What are these big long old files? Oh, these are the fonts coming down. So I have some CSS files getting served up, which is not as bad as serving up JavaScript off a remote domain, but still I should still clean that up. But good enough for now. Copy JavaScript to local paths, and we expunged the default theme that we are no longer using, which has it actually has a whole lot of nesting in the different stuff it uses. So I'm gonna go take another 10-minute break, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna hope that DNS stuff propagated. If not, I'm gonna call it a night, and then I'll circle back and append some stuff to this video. I will just reappear, and because I'm in a room in the corner of the house with no windows, you won't even see a lighting change if you look at the video later. But in real life, many hours will have passed. So let me do one more dig on that text record. Still not there. So I'm going to take another 10-minute break. I'm going to go into hiding mode, refill my beverage, and then I will return shortly. Okie doke. I gave it a few more minutes. I think something is wrong. I think I may have broken the domain when I switch things around. So I'm going to go do some other DNS tricks that I know. Basically, instead of trying to add the text record on this, I'm actually going to change the registrar settings at DreamHost and use a different DNS provider. And I'm going to go into hiding mode for that because I'm doing some other, some other stuff that I don't really want to broadcast to the world. Like my login credentials on one of the other DNS providers I use. Multi-factor auth tokens and all that kind of good stuff. So let's go ahead and I don't know if I have this one set up to use. Oh, I did switch that over. Yeah, I'm trying to find the right authentication provider for this DNS provider, because I have multi-factor auth set up all over the place. So where would it be? Here it is. Had to find the right app that held the right secret. So I'm going to go ahead and change some name server stuff. Gotten something on my monitor. I'm using a pretty old monitor. It's been with me for many years. So some other things I'm switching around in the background. So what I'm doing is I'm rehosting the DNS settings for this domain by changing the registrar settings, and I'm just using Cloudflare to do it. And I know Cloudflare is a polarizing topic in the internet space, but I'm just going to use them for DNS hosting. I'm not going to set up the full reverse proxy because I don't, like, I know it provides stuff if you're getting like pwned, like it can keep your site up. But, okay, all these things look right. But I don't need all those things. Okay, so setting up a basic thing. And then I'm setting up some DNS stuff. And this generally takes more time to propagate because it's changing something at the registrar, the who is registry record level. But it might go very fast. It went pretty fast. It went very fast. Okay. Let me minimize this and come back on camera so you can see what I did. So look, now when I dig it, I get the verification record. So if I go back here and I hit verify, if it's not too aggressive at caching, oh, it's pretty aggressive at caching, isn't it? So that looks right on my side. This record is still the same. Yes, it is still the same record. So now I think I've hit the verify button too many times at Firebase and it's done its kind of back off thing. Boop. So let's try reloading. I don't think that will do anything, but I'm going to try anyway. It'll take up a little time. Unable to add domain, it may be registered to another project. That's a little bit weird. So I think this is because many years ago, back in 2010, I set up a, what was it called back then? I don't even remember what it was called. Google Apps for your domain, which became Google for Work, which became G Suite. So I think it has a mostly defunct G Suite account set up with it, which we can check by checking the MX records. And that does seem to be the case. I see some Google Mail MX records here, which seems to indicate that it was one-time set up. So what this error message says is that Firebase can see it now. It just sees that this domain has been verified by another Google account. So, I don't know what to do about that. Let's ask Internet. I might have to email Firebase support to get this fixed. Ooh, the missing manual. Or I can probably just search for this error message. which will probably go to a Stack Overflow. Hey, there we go. And it went to a 404. Interesting. This got posted. I've never even heard of this site. This is going to Google Product Forums for Google Home. And that's a little weird. Can I go to like an old version? Is there a cache copy of this question? Hey, here's a cache copy. And the advice from Frank Puff, the master of Firebase support via Stack Overflow, is to ping support. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ping support and tell them to help me get this domain name verified. So I know that's a little bit anticlimactic. I'm also going to roll back some of these, like some of the DNS changes I made. I'm going to go back to the old DNS provider. So I'm going to add to this video later once I get this bump rolled over. But for now, I guess I am done for the day. So if you were watching, thanks for watching. I know how exciting it was to watch, especially at the end while we waited for DNS stuff to propagate. But I hope you learned a little bit about Hexo and Firebase hosting, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, this is neat that I just noticed. These are IPv4 records. This is an IPv6 address. That's what quad A means, because it's 4 times as many bits in the address space. So of course you use, instead of an A record, it's an AAAA record. Just a little weird piece of DNS trivia. Okay, so I'm going to email Firebase support and get help with this. And then I will continue this and finish it up and show you the domain published on the real domain that I want it running on. But until then, I'm going to call it a night. So thanks so much for watching and have a happy holiday if you watch this soon around the holiday time, because it's a few days before Christmas here at the time I'm recording. Anyway, have a good night. Bye, everybody.